Okay, when it comes to end times and Bible prophecy, it seems to me that there are two extremes that Christians go to and have gone to over the years. You may have seen this, you may have been there yourself. And the first extreme is to go too far with Bible prophecy and even become like a prophecy nut where, we might read the book of Revelation 5 times in a year, but we never read Hebrews, for example. We just totally taken up with end times, working out details, who's the Antichrist, watching world events, and it can become almost an unhealthy obsession with Bible prophecy and trying to sort things out. Now, I'm sure many of us would agree that's not a good place to be. That is unbalanced. And if we go there, we can actually forget about the Great Commission. We are meant to be making disciples in these last days, not just being totally taken up with Bible prophecy and trying to figure out the order of events. But there is another extreme, and personally, I suspect that probably more Christians are in the other ditch, and that is the extreme of ignorance of Bible prophecy. For example, I'm not going to read Revelation. It's just, I can't get my head around it. People disagree about it. I'll just look at other things, and we neglect parts of the Bible we're supposed to be reading. We need to be reading Matthew 24, Luke 21, 1 Thessalonians, 2 Thessalonians, 2 Peter chapter 3. We need to be reading the prophecies of Joel, Isaiah chapter 13, Zechariah chapters 12 to 14, and of course the book of Revelation. We cannot afford to be ignorant about end times. We need to be aware of what's going on in the world, and we need to be reading these critical prophetic passages. After all, consider what Jesus said in Matthew 24. He's just told the disciples about what was coming up, and I believe part of what he said was fulfilled in AD 70, but definitely not the whole of it, because the Great Tribulation did not happen then. That is yet future. And after telling them about end times and his return, Jesus said, Matthew 24:42, he says, stay awake. Stay awake, for you do not know on what day your Lord is coming. So they were meant to be alert, not just cruising around and just being taken up with the now. They were meant to be alert to what's going on around them. And a few verses later, he says in Matthew 24:44, get this, he says, you also must be ready, for the Son of Man is coming at an hour you do not expect. So we need to be ready, and we need to be ready for Jesus' return on a footing of readiness. In 1 John, he talks about not being ashamed at Jesus' return. So being in a place of holiness and walking closely with the Lord, so that when Jesus bursts through the clouds, we're not caught out in a carnal sort of condition or in a lukewarm state or living as a worldly Christian. We need to be ready for Jesus' return. So yes, we need to be reading the prophetic passages. We need to watch and pray as we wait expectantly for Jesus' return. How often are you and I thinking about this next great event in history, the return of Jesus Christ? We need to be thinking about it and ready for it. And those of us who are parents, we need to be teaching our children about it. Our family Bible reading times need to include some of these passages I referred to, so that our children are aware of the approaching return of Jesus Christ.